We're working through all the free video tutorials on the Husqvarna Viking Designer Epic 3. And here we're going to talk about where you can go for information, help, tutorials, even videos built into the machine. And I would advise that you take some time just to sit down and explore, just like I have, to realize how much is in this machine. And I do love that this machine comes with a printed manual, and you're always able to reference these YouTube videos. And anytime that you're just in a Google search, you can type in Husqvarna Viking Epic 3 and your question, and usually one of our videos is going to come up instantly, so you can get started right where your question starts. But here's what I want to do. When you turn the machine on, you have the option to go into sewing or embroidery, but down here you have the user's guide and the Joy OS Advisor. So if you just want to go to sewing, of course you can jump right in, but it will come up to the Joy OS Advisor, allowing you to select fabric and weight of fabric. So if you do this and then pick one of the techniques that you see in the blue boxes, it's going to pick the right stitch, it's going to adjust pressure, it might adjust stitch length. You know, when you pick a buttonhole, you've probably noticed you've got 8 or 9 plus buttonholes in this machine. And if you pick a fabric, it's going to pick the right buttonhole for that fabric. So that's a great way to get started, especially if you're not familiar with how your machine is supposed to be stitching on certain kinds of fabric. You've got different techniques and projects. But let's just go back up to the Husqvarna Viking logo and touch at the top. We kind of get back to that main screen. I am going to take you into the user's guide just to kind of show you a couple ways to do some searches. I've been playing around with some different things here, and just note that if you take 2 fingers touching the screen, you can zoom in and out depending on what's easiest for you to view at this point. So if you were looking for a certain topic, you could just type it in at the search bar. So if I was looking for a basting stitch, I can type in baste and touch search, and it will come up with everything related to the basting stitches and options that I have, even for the one that's in the embroidery stitch out, because basting in the hoop is one of your options. Let's just go ahead and X out of that. I'm going to come here to the first little icon where here it divides all the information into chapters. So if you were looking for things regarding sequencing or programming, as that would be, or settings of your machine or maintenance options, you can go here and then let's just do sequencing, touch that arrow pointing down, and kind of opens up kind of all the things related to sequencing, and then we can touch once again and just go into that information. You could also search from A to Z. So this would be more like a index option. So again, if you were looking under, and I was looking under B the last time I was here for basting, but I can collapse that. It's going to have 1, 2, it has some numbers here, but A, B, C, so you can look up topics. So if we were in the H, we're going to find things like hooping and hemming and hand wheel and hoop clips, all sorts of things that start with the letter H. So in these options though, when you do get into the tutorials, you're actually going to also find videos. So as you actually get going into some of the topics, so if we go into sewing and we go into exclusive sewing techniques, we can see that if we want to learn how to do applique stitches, which again, we have videos on how to make these fun stitches that are built into your machine. There's kind of some steps you take. But watch this. As you touch step 1 of 5, step 2 of 5, loading the stitch, and then you see this little symbol. That's the symbol that there is a video for you to play. Let's just go ahead and touch it. The little video player comes up. There is no sound for this. This is just made as graphics, so it's guiding us to what to do first, how to prepare our fabric with some stabilizer, that you are going to stitch, and when the needle stops, you're going to add some fabric behind the needle, okay? Then it's going to continue on. So you do want to have your machine stopping with the needle in the down position. You use the start-stop button for this particular technique, not your foot control. And as you continue, you're adding little pieces of fabric that are going to be cut out at a later time. So you can definitely find, and I'm going to advise, sometimes it stops in between, like so you can do stuff, is if you push the first little toggle switch here, it will play the whole video without stopping. But here's the little animation showing us how we're going to trim the fabric away that we've just stitched in, and you will find that you have a wonderful way of doing applique stitches. We do this in our Husqvarna Viking Stitching Cosmos online course. I love to add some of these fun bonus stitches to the quilt. And when you're done, you can come back here and finish up with the 5th step with some tips and hints. As you touch content, watch what happens here. It actually pulls or shows you all the stitches related to the technique. So these are all the applique stitches. So instead of you having to go find them, you can actually just go into the tutorial, understand the instructions, touch the content tab, and then when we pick the stitch number, let's do the fish, for example, notice in the background the fish has been selected, and I could close this up and I can see that I'm all ready to touch and start stitching the stitch. It's not actually showing right here, but once we start sewing, I believe it will switch to the screens that we're on. So at any given time, you can go back up to the H, you can go into the user's guide, you can go into the Joy of Sewing and pick a topic here, other things that you can learn about, from needles to stabilizers to all sorts. So it's a wealth of information just right here at your fingertips. So if you're not feeling like sewing anything today, but you feel like learning something, just start touching. And the one other thing I do want to show you that I do use actually quite a bit. So here's kind of like where we're starting. If you don't want to pick a fabric or technique, just touch in this bar called Start New. And that will take us just right into, do you want to clear your ongoing work? Yes, this will take us back to a straight stitch, is to touch the question mark. Up at the top, when you touch the question mark, you notice it kind of pulsates. And at this point, you can touch any icon on your screen or stitch on your menu, and it will define what it is, how it's to be used, any information that is helpful. So sometimes we don't even know what to call it, and this will be a good information ways to finding your stitches, knowing what they actually are used for. And again, it's like having your little sewing teacher right at your fingertips. So if there's times where I don't remember something by its name, I will reach up to the question mark myself, touch the stitch, and up will pop the message to remind me what its actual name is, its official name. All right, I hope you're checking out the links in the description below this YouTube video for all of our online courses and other things that will help you master your beautiful Husqvarna Viking Epic 3. And don't forget to click like and subscribe every time you watch one of these videos, and that is your way of saying thank you for the information we have given you.